Welcome to Mo's Market Pulse. I'm your host, Sara Mokaram, founder of Mo Digital Solutions, where we help businesses scale and thrive. This is a podcast where we sit down with industry leaders to dive into their businesses, uncover market insights, explore growth strategies, and discuss the challenges they face. Today, I'm thrilled to have Lawrence Lanzilli, Chief Revenue Officer from DOOR3, join us. DOOR3 is a technology consultancy firm and provides their clients expert guidance in building software that is essential and critical to their organizations. So, Lawrence, let's start with your personal journey. Can you share a little bit about your background and how you got into this space?
Sure. I came a little bit of a different route, I think, than most CROs. My degree is technical. I have a degree in computer science and started my first company about a year out of school. I was with Microsoft first, left Microsoft and started a software company that ran for about 8 years. And then I started getting into a lot of startups, we'll say. So I rode some very successful coattails, the coattails of some very successful venture capitalists and whatnot. I was flying out near you. I was flying out once a month or once a quarter, roughly once a quarter to Silicon Valley, kind of doing the Silicon Valley thing for a decade and a half-ish. It ultimately got to a point where I was doing a lot of angel investing and going into a number of smaller companies at once. And I would always invest in, and I still do this, I would always invest into something that needed sales and marketing help where I could actually be of value. And I would join those kinds of startups. After a few successful runs, had an IPO, recently did a SPAC, few M&As. Now it's more of a traditional, like, scaling sales and marketing is what I do. It's what I've done well and what I'll continue to do and keep refining it.
Great. So, for those who may not be familiar, what does DOOR3 do in your own words, and what's your role in driving its growth?
Yeah, so all right. So Door3, I mean, you could say we're a software development company, but there's so many software development companies, and frankly, I really think you need a specialization. Door3 does have two specializations that I'm pretty confident we lead the market in. If you're going to look for somebody that is doing UX UI, so user interface work, really design, not so much the code. Yes, we do the coding, but we have like artists on staff and a good amount, like really like guys that, I mean, girls that are even like professors at college, like they're artists. So they help us spearhead the design of user interfaces. More recently, it's even around artificial intelligence. We're doing a lot of artificial intelligence work, and it's how do we incorporate artificial intelligence into the user interfaces, right? So how do we make your product function or use artificial intelligence for your clients, right, and your users? So that's kind of one specialty that Door3 excels at or leads the market in. The other one is design systems, which I'm not sure. A lot of people don't know what design systems is. If you do know, it's a religion. If you don't know, the idea is really when you're a large organization. We've done design systems for a lot of like Fortune 100s. When you're a large organization and you have many divisions or many sub brands under a parent, you need to leverage technology to keep your brand and your marketing similar or in a certain direction. Make sure all the departments are using the same fonts, make sure they're all using the same colors, make sure they're all using the right snippets, talking the right way, advertising in the right places. You need a way to organize and manage a large I should actually probably global, a large global company across many different marketing departments and brand strategies. You need to keep them all sort of aligned. So that's where you would implement a design system in your firm. User interfaces, we work with a lot of startups, a lot of VCs, a lot of PE companies, a lot of VC backed companies for user interface design and design systems, where we typically gravitate towards the larger firms. We do a lot of work for like the big four consulting and a lot of the big tech providers, where maybe even if you hire those guys, you likely could be getting Door3 under the hood.
Okay, I see. So now, given your experience in the industry, I'd love to just shift gears here and talk about the broader market landscape and how you see things evolving. So from your perspective, what are some of the biggest trends shaping the digital transformation and software space right now?
Well, I'm not surprising anybody by saying AI, obviously. I mean, it's just rocket ship. Everybody wants to incorporate AI somehow, some way. And frankly, if you're not, you're getting left in the dust. So it's just so powerful if implemented the right way, and it can really help you excel quickly. Had I'll say 3 years. It's probably been about 3 years we started getting AI projects in the door. The last 2 years, a lot of them, and the last year has been like a tremendous amount of AI projects. But we still refrained from sort of launching the AI practice, publicly. We just launched actually like 2 weeks ago. We finally put the services page on our website. We wanted to make sure that we built up a really qualified team before we went to market with it. Prior to that, it was our existing clients asking if we could help them with it. And it was projects coming to us sort of organically. Now we're starting to sort of arm our sales guys, talk publicly about it, and actually express that we do have a very qualified practice to implement artificial intelligence in many different ways. So AI is a low hanging fruit answer to that question. I'll say these startups are starting to turn again. I think there's a lot of sort of dry powder that has not been used over the last 4 or 5 years. Throughout 24, we saw a lot of VC backed companies and a lot of VCs and PEs ask us to work on across their portfolios. So we had a lot of that in 24, and I think that's going to continue in 25. I think they flushed out a lot of the companies that weren't going to work, and now they're doubling down on the companies that are working.
And with AI, are you finding a specific request or need or a use of AI that's more common right now or that Door3 is getting asked to do?
The agents, man, there's an agent for everything. I don't personally love the agent play. I think it's kind of like quick to market and not really well thought out or well baked into what a true enterprise piece of software should have. Now, there's plenty of platforms that utilize agents for their users. That's a different story. But if you're an enterprise product and you're like, hey, give me an agent, like, okay, let's really talk about more. We do a lot of AI readiness assessments where it's let's just talk about what your product is today and what the options are of how you could implement or should implement AI. And that's an in-depth assessment, maybe equivalent to what like a UX or UI audit used to be, which we also do those too. But specifically for AI, we do these readiness assessments. And I think it's more important rather than just saying, give me an agent. I think it's more important for you to really have a business or product person, which we have a number of them, actually dive into your product, understand your product over a short amount of time, and then start making qualified suggestions on how to implement AI rather than just going to the agent.
So, with all of the competition that's out there in the industry, how does Door3 position itself in the market to really stay ahead?
Oh, that's kind of a simple one, and frankly, I love it. It wasn't my idea. It's just kind of what Door3's always done. It's design. It's the quality of the interfaces and the way things look and feel. They really, our developers are very, very unique. I've been in software my whole life. My degree is computer science, right? I mean, I've never seen so many systems that feel good and look so sexy, and you want to use them.
Right.
It's makes you feel good to stay in them. When you approach software from an artistic perspective, it really does give a whole different um, feel. It gives a whole different value to the software, and you get better responses, better, maybe it's just an ERP system, but if the interface is designed awesome, your users throughout your organization actually don't mind being in there. They kind of like clicking around. It feels good. Yeah. So I would say the design is really what separates them.
I will admit that if the look of things looks more up to date or more artistic, like you're saying, it does have an appeal to it. And it doesn't feel as outdated in a way. Even if the system isn't outdated, I feel like having a system that looks appealing can give that impression for sure.
Yeah. And the feel too, right? How you progress through the software has to flow and has to all be
Right.
intuitive. I don't want to have to read a manual to use your software. I want it to be
Totally.
self-explanatory and intuitive and
Yep.
flow the right way. So that's an art too.
So let's talk a little bit about growth. How has Door3 approached, marketing, sales, and customer acquisition? And I know that you, in your role, lead revenue generation at Door3. So, what are some of the most effective strategies that you found for attracting and retaining clients?
Okay. So I actually just gave I was on stage yesterday doing a presentation on this yesterday at an event called CRO Summit. I have a proprietary system that I call the sales machine. It's the same list of principles that I've used throughout my career. So 20, 25 years, somewhere in the middle of that. Uh, it's always, how do you find clients that need your software
Hmm.
or need your product, whatever you're selling? It could be cars, really, it doesn't matter. How do you find people that want or need your product or service? That's kind of stage one. We have a bunch of different ways to do that. We look for intent. I hesitate to use the word intent because it's such a buzzword these days. Historically, we were doing things that would determine intent. We were evaluating cookies. We were evaluating search engine data. We are tracking users' journeys. We are purchasing lists. We are scraping blogs, scraping sites, looking for, you may post that you're looking for a great UX designer. That's going to, flag that you're an intentful prospect, right? Once we build a list, stage two is a data enrichment. What do we call data enrichment? So data enrichment is, I want to know everything about you, like to a scary degree. I want to know all your phone numbers. I want to know all your email addresses. I want to know all your social media profiles. I want to know every way that I could possibly, I might even send you a mailer. Actually, don't do that, but every way I could communicate, I want to be able to communicate with you. So that's the data enrichment phase. Next, there's five phases to this, and this is obviously a calculated approach that I've executed a long time. So step three is the campaign. So now that we know the users that we're going after, we know how to reach them. Now we're going to build a campaign and this has to be a lot of effort is put here. In fact, all the other parts of the system can get built out and then don't take a lot of effort. They become a tool for reps to use to generate clients, except this stage. This stage is built, there's effort here and it constantly takes effort. I could run a 6-month campaign. I could run a 1-month campaign. I could run a 10-day campaign, depending. I need all the emails for that campaign written. I need social posts for every day on all the platforms with all different keywords and all different tags and all different, whatever you're putting in there. I need text message marketing. If you're doing text message marketing, I need calling scripts. The reps need to be speaking on subject, and all the different ways. DMs, a lot of DMs, LinkedIn message, connection requests, thank yous, DMs on Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, the whole nine. So however we're going to communicate, and there's obviously a lot of ways to communicate. That all has to be designed into the campaign, and you have to make sure that the message is consistent. This is really important, that the message is consistent cross platform. Across all those platforms, it needs to be a coordinated message. Everybody's looking at way more than one method of communication, and you're looking to market yourself with authority and quality across all the platforms on a specific subject. So you build out a campaign that meets that, then you go into sequencing. Everybody knows sequencing. This is stage four. So everybody knows sequencing. We do it a little bit different, and we are actually productizing this. That I'm telling you, we're bringing this to market. We're in like beta right now. I'm not trying to sell it right now. You can't buy it right now, but we are building a product around this. Our sequencing is a little bit different. It's good to be doing this with a software company because there's a lot of custom code. There's a lot of our IP that we put into this. Our sequencing is a little bit different. It's dynamic. So if we're going out to, I don't know, 2,000 prospects on that list in step one, see, there's never a lot of prospects, never like 50,000 prospects because we're looking for intent, right? So we're looking for people that are truly looking for the product. So we generally go somewhere between 1 and 2,000, maybe three's high, people. So if we're going out to 3,000 people, everybody interacts a little bit different. For me, you can't get me on my cell phone unless you're stored in my contacts.
Right.
It'll push you right to voicemail, and I don't even have voicemail set up. So like, boom, you're in no man's land. Like
Yeah.
you're not getting through that way, right? But like, I'm very responsive to text messages. I'm very responsive in the ways that I like to interact, right? That feel good to me. So the dynamic sequencing picks that up, right? It's like, okay, this person is looking at your messages on LinkedIn. They're looking at your messages on X, but not Facebook. They're not really reading emails, and they clicked like on a text message. So like, okay, we're going to shift the sequence after the first week. We're going to shift what we're doing in the sequences autonomously. We wrote AI into this. We shift our sequences around to start communicating with you more how you like to be communicated with, right? And the campaign's already designed, so we're pulling from those messages that are already designed and communicating with you better. Last step is you didn't know you were stepping into such a long drawn out
I
answer
love
there.
it.
So the last step we call a sniper list. So we basically, we track and we monitor. This is how we monitor, how we manage the dynamic sequences. We know who's interacting with what. The people that have interacted with the sequences the most, someone else only clicked through 3 or 4 emails and read 1 or 2 and didn't do much more. But somebody else clicked through 10 different emails. They came to the website 20 times. They almost booked a meeting, but didn't actually book. And they took one of the reps' calls, but then quickly had to go. We're going to put a high engagement score on that person. So we're going to build a sniper list of the top 100 people that interacted with the campaign, and that goes to our reps. So now the reps take that sniper list and now they spend serious time on that list. It's a much different approach than like 10, 15 years ago, how reps used to get a list of 1,000 people and spend the month trying to get them, right? And see if they're interested. We're kind of weeding out, and this is good for both sides. Like, it's if we don't want to be calling you if you're not interested in the product. So if we do a lot of work up front, like if you're going to go buy a car, to put it in car terms, you're going to go buy a Jeep, you got a dealership down the road, you're probably going to buy from them. You bought your last Jeep from them. Like, but this other dealership emailed you some quality stuff, something that you really like. This is why the campaigns have to be quality. And this is also why our unsubscribe rates are extremely low. For 2,000 people in the sequence, we get like maybe like 2 or 3 unsubscribes. We get a very, very low unsubscribe rate because there's quality. If that dealership that's like 2 states over, you're not going to buy from them, and they sent you, make sure you check out these 10 items on the Jeep before you roll off the lot. Like, that's quality information. I'm about to go make a sizable purchase. I'm going to read those 10 things. I want to at least know what they are. I'm not clicking unsubscribe because it's quality information. I might not buy the Jeep from you, but I'm not clicking unsubscribe. So you have to make sure you build the campaigns with quality, and then this becomes a tool in the reps bag. I still want you going to the events. I still want you going, 2, 3 events per quarter, networking groups. I still want you, um, doing all the things that old school sales used to do. The only thing I don't want you doing is wasting time trying to qualify 500 people over 2 weeks that you just, because their title was CTO.
Right. Okay. So you guys are going for the intent and then narrowing it down based on all of this system that you've developed.
Yes, we're going for intent. We're not just purchasing intent data. It's the same, just like contact data, right? I don't want to mention any companies' names, but the biggest companies that that provide, look up that person's email address or look up that person's phone number, like they kind of all suck, right? Like there's really no silver bullet. Like if they're 40, 50% right or accurate, that's high. Like they're 50% at best, right? So there's really no silver bullet. So we've written a little AI and we use many tools, many on the back end, and we've written some script to tell us which are accurate, right? And then um, same, yeah, like it's the same thing with it with the intent. So, like, there's no silver bullet. So all these companies are saying like, okay, we can give you intent data. All right, I'll give it a go, and we've baked them all off. We've baked them all off. There's like 8 that I like for all for different reasons. So I need to aggregate them all,
Right.
and then I need to sort of weed out, or not really weed out, but I need to like sort of like shave it down to what we're really attacking. Like, for this subject, this subset is good. For that subject, this subset is good, and it's an aggregate from many.
Right.
um
Okay. And so I guess with your approach and just overall with B2B sales, how do you and your team navigate, the generally long and complex sales cycles? Do you guys have a method to shorten that path to the deal? Or is your success in shortening of that based on, looking for people that are interested right off the bat?
hmm. you know I never really thought about it like that, but what you just said, the latter part, is actually, that's actually probably a good answer to your question. Looking for people that are intentful and actually need it shortens the sales cycle. that's probably true, but I never really thought of it like that. So thank the next time my CEO asks me, that's what I'll say. But no, the truth is, I don't know if anybody truly shortens the sales cycle. I mean, if you're providing value in some way, if it's a like for like scenario, like if two companies have the same type of client at the same stage, how does one shorten the sales cycle over the other? You really, I guess it's by providing value. If you can like upfront clearly articulate the return on investment that you're going to be able to achieve, which, we do feel we have a substantial impact on the return on investment that a client gets, right? Just because of that design that we bring to the table, because of the flow of an app, we feel that your app will generate more revenue if it's utilizing a UX or UI that's designed by Door3. So, if we can clearly articulate that up front, we can clearly articulate our perceived value, then that typically could or should shorten a sales cycle rather than making you have to vet multiple different companies.
Mhm.
Other than that, I would actually say that it's, I would give you a little bit of the soft sell. Like it really is up to the customer. You have to be providing value and you largely have to stick to their timeline.
Totally. So now, just with any business and growth, of course, comes with its own set of challenges. And I'm just curious to hear about some of the pain points that you're seeing. What are some of the biggest challenges Door3 faces when it comes to scaling and expanding its services?
So that's actually an easy one for me to answer. Door3 is still founder and partner owned. Small business, if you will. It's a large small business. It's the largest UX UI design firm in New York City, but still privately owned.
Hmm.
Um, when it comes time to scale certain aspects of the business, managing capital on the back end for the company is traditional, we'll call it, right? Everything's traditional banking. I've gone through hyperscale with VC after VC after VC and a little bit of PE. That's so much easier. That is just so much easier to hyperscale versus scale organically a professional services company. Yeah.
Huh.
But it's working well. We're doing it well, but that's the hardest challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any common frustrations that you hear from clients when they come to you or to Door3 for solutions?
Common frustrations.
Right.
I guess I would have to say the first thing is that, see, it depends on what kind of client. Like if you're the startup, if you're a startup, I would say the common frustration is you'll think our price is a little bit high. We're rarely ever the highest. We're also rarely ever the lowest.
Right.
But as I was mentioning before, there's an ROI that comes with working with somebody that is going to deliver superior quality. So you really have to be looking at, how much money am I going to be able to generate with a really good UX UI versus, another software company that's going to give me a maybe standard or a good UX UI. I would argue if I was the angel investor or the VC, if I was coming from an investment perspective, like spend more money on the UX UI. It's literally a revenue generator for you. So, I think that's for startups, that's probably the thing that they will pick up on early, but then kind of come around to seeing the value of. And if you're a larger company, then typically your first inclination is like, wait a second, are these guys big enough? Can I really have them manage I'm Fortune 50. Can I really have these guys in managing, a secure area of my cloud? And it takes them a while to vet us. And yes, we've done government projects and we've done Fortune 10 projects. So the answer is yes, but it takes them a while to vet. We got to go through procurement. We have to get licensed. We have to get like, kind of like a onboarded within that particular Fortune company, and that can be a huge process. So yeah, I guess it depends if you're looking at it from a small company or a big company.
Makes sense. If you could solve one major challenge within the industry, what would it be?
Talent acquisition. Yeah, it's you have to make sure that you place a really high value on the people that do good work
Hmm.
because they're super valuable to the company. You don't want to lose those people.
Hmm.
And I would say Door3 does a really good job. Out of every company I've worked with, Door3 really, I mean, it feels really good. Like the people at Door3 is the main reason I'm here to tell you the truth. It's you have to place a very high value on, if I say talent, I feel like I'm actually not giving them proper credit. They're people, right? They're your work family. So you have to place a really high value on.
Okay. So let's go ahead and look ahead here and look at the next year, 2025. So, what are some of the key priorities and goals for Door3 over the next 12 months?
Yeah, so we are going through quite a sizable scale right now around sales and marketing. Door3 has been around for 23 years. It's either 22 or 23. And this is truly amazing. They've functioned off of referrals only the entire time. Until like a year and a half ago or 2 years until I took over as CRO because they had this scaling problem. They're like, we keep getting referrals, and we're scaling little by little by little by little. And they got to what I would call a rather enormous number based off of referrals alone. But that said, they want to now try to go to the next level and actually be competing with some of the bigger names you might even know. So it's like to do that now we really need to. They already have 3 offices around the globe, and it's like now we want to build out those offices, and we want sales teams and marketing teams, and they want to scale the business. So that's what we've already started in 2024, and that will be uh, the main focus in 2025.
So, you have a big job here coming into 2025.
It's fun. It's fun. I love it.
How do you measure success? What are your key metrics that you and your team focus on?
I mean, if any sales organization deviated too far from revenue and actually, making money, you'd be getting a not 100% truthful answer. So obviously, it's about whether or not you can provide value and turn revenue, but you have to provide that value. So, can you actually scale maintaining quality, maintaining value, scale the business? So revenue is one. And a very close second, I would say, is that our teams, not just sales teams, but sales, marketing, engineering, project management, executive, they have to be happy. Um, we're all flying around on this rock in space for a small amount of time, and we have to make sure that we're all um, not cautious, but we have to make sure we're cognizant of each other and that we're living well.
And so, for those who want to learn more about Door3 or connect with you, where's the best place to find you and to learn more?
LinkedIn is usually the best, or send me an email, either one. I'm pretty responsive on both.
Okay, perfect. Well, Lawrence, thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you, everyone, for tuning into Mo's Market Pulse. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a comment, and join us again to hear more insights from leaders coming up on future episodes. Well, thank you again, Lawrence, for your time today.
Thank you, Sarah. It was a pleasure.